Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches KIDDUSHIN DAF Chavtes. We begin a brand new sugya starting with the Mishnah, which is around 10-12 lines off the top of the Amud. Says the Mishnah, Kol mitzvahs habein al ha'av. All those mitzvahs which are for the benefit of one's child and are the obligation of his father to do them. For instance, bris milah, for instance, pidyon haben, or teaching one's son Torah. Whose chiyuv is it? Father or also mother? Says the Mishnah, Hanoshim chayav. Only men are obligated, meaning the fathers are meant to do so. V'noshim pturois, but the women, meaning the mothers, are patur. V'chol mitzvahs ha'av ala ben, but mitzvahs which benefit one's father and they are the obligation of the child to do. For instance, mitzvahs kibud avim, that applies to sons and daughters equally. Echad anoshim ve'echad noshim chayav. Furthermore, says the Mishnah, there are some mitzvahs which are called mitzvahs asay, right, the positive mitzvahs, and some are mitzvahs lois asay, negative mitzvahs. Even within the mitzvahs asay, we have two categories. Mitzvahs shehaz man grama, which are meant to be performed in specific times, and you have mitzvahs which are not time related. Shalei has man grama. Who is obligated in those mitzvahs? V'chol mitzvahs asay shehaz man grama, mitzvahs which are time specific. Well, that's only for men. Anoshim chayavin, v'noshim pturis. Men are chayiv and women are pater. Mepharshim explain. Moshe Feinstein writes in Igros Moshe, the fact that women have to be preoccupied with raising their family, that doesn't really allow for them to commit themselves to do specific mitzvahs in specific times, and that perhaps is one of the reasons why the Torah exempted them from doing these mitzvahs. Now, if they want to do the mitzvahs, they do it. They get a mitzvah, but it's not on the same level as the anoshim. So these are mitzvahs which has man grama. However, mitzvahs which are not time related, that applies equally to men and to women. What about the negative mitzvahs? Whether or not they are related to zman, those apply to men and to women equally, except for three mitzvahs, which are specific to men. Even if a woman can conceivably do it, but we learn from Sukkim, they are specific to men. Chutz mibal takif, cutting around one's head and removing the peyos, ubal tashchus, destroying one's beard, ubal tatamil mason. The isser for a kohen to engage in a mace. So these three mitzvahs, these three lois asays, even if somehow women, let's say she would have some hair on the face, all these don't apply to women. Okay, so we have the mitzvahs lois asay, generally applicable to all. Mitzvahs asay, well, lo zman grama, apply to all. Zman grama, apply only to men. We have mitzvahs ha'av hala ben, which apply to all. Mitzvahs haben ala av, which was actually the first item mentioned in our Mishnah. Those are specific to anoshim and not to noshim. Now, what does this mean? Mitzvahs haben ala av. What's going on? My kol mitzvahs haben ala av. What does this mean? Ilay kol mitzvahs the mechayev bra l'me'ebed la'aba. The Gemara at this point figures perhaps was speaking about those mitzvahs that are for the son to carry out. Right? So kol mitzvahs haben means a mitzvah which a ben is mitzvah to do al ha'av on account of his father, like kibud avim, right? Kol mitzvahs the mechayev bro l'me'eved la'ab. How could the Mishnah say noshim apturis? V'atani, the Brisa says ish imay v'aviv tiro. If it would only say ish and li'ali ish, I would only apply kibud avim to the son. Ish and what about including the daughter as well? Geshu Aimer, when the pasuk says ish imay ve'aviv tira'u, plural, both of you have fear, express awe and respect for your parents. Harei kan shnayim. Clearly, we're addressing both children, son and daughter. So, what does the Mishnah mean that only men are chayiv? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, Amar, no, that's not what the Mishnah meant. Just the opposite. Kol mitzvahs haben ala av means like this. Hachikam, kol mitzvahs haben. Mitzvahs which are done with the child or to the child. Hamud talos al ha'av lasos livnoi. Oh, just the opposite. Which are incumbent upon the father to do for his son. Those mitzvahs, like Mila and Pidyon Aben, are specific to one's father as opposed to the mother. Anoshim chayavin, v'noshim turis, tanina. So actually, our Mishnah is fully in support of the following brayso, lahad tan rabbanon. Only a father is chayiv to do these things. Av chayiv livivnei l'mayloi. He has to do Mila to his son. V'liv daisai, to redeem him if he's a bachar. With the lamdei Torah, to teach him Torah. L'asiyah isha, to marry him off. Lamdei umnas, to teach him a trade. Yesh oimrim, some say af lashita b'mayim, to teach him how to swim, just in case he gets stuck in the water. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, in fact, it's so important for the child to learn a profession. Kol she'enem melamed es b'noi umnas. If he doesn't teach his son business, melamdei listus, he's really teaching him how to rob. What do you mean? Listus hakadaitach. He taught him how to rob? Why, Elo ki'ilu melamdei listus. It's as though, and Rashi explains, around halfway down the Amud, ki'ilu melamdei listus. The kivan de ein lo umnas. If he has no trade, he has no profession, he has no experience, he won't be able to make a parnos. Yelech b'parshas drachim, we lost him sabriyas. Next thing you know, he's at the bank, robbing the bank. Lamulay min lo. So how do we know that in fact a father is obligated? Well, what are the sources? For Mila, for Pidyon Aben, for Torah, here goes. Lamulay min lo. Avram did so to Yitzchak. So you see, it is his chiyuv. But suppose father did not do that to the son. He doesn't go without a bris. Bezin has to take over and care for the child and apply a bris milah. The Torah is speaking to the community at large. You have to look after the baby if his father did not do so. Next stage, stage 3. Suppose Bezin did not do that. When he grows up, discovers himself to be an Ariel, he has to apply bris milah to himself. He has to look after it. We have another pasuk, a third pasuk. It's terrible kares if he fails to look after this obligation. So there are 3 stages. A baby should be looked after by his father, otherwise the bezin, otherwise when he grows up he looks after himself. So we see that the father looks after the son. But who says the mother is exempt? Who says she's not chayiv as well? The answer is the chsiv. Hashem commanded oisay Avram. We learn oisay, only him, only a man is obligated. Not sorry, not the mother. Says the Gemara. Okay, so we have a pasuk that Avram had the mitzvah to be mal his son, and it only applies to Avram and not to Sarah, not to the mother. So we find that Avram got this mitzvah. Miyad, it was a one-time historical thing. How do you know that it applies throughout history? This was before Matan Torah. Who says that it's an ongoing mitzvah for a father to look after his son? The answer is because wherever we find the phrase, the lashon tzav, it means a couple of things. First of all, einoi ela zirus. It means to urge him on, to reinforce, to be mechazik. And also it means forever. Miyad uladeris. How do we know? Zirus, we find that it's a lashon of urging on. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu to be mechazik Yeshua. B'tzav, give him this reasons. Spur him on. Get him excited for the job. What about the second part? Miyad uladeris. We see that it's an ongoing thing. The chsiv, we have a different pasuk. min hayom asher tziva Hashem v'olo dereseichem. So you find that tziva is synonymous with dereseichem. It's an ongoing, uninterrupted process. So a father has a mitzvah to be mal his son. What about liftoisa? If he's the firstborn, to redeem him with a 5 slime, which he gives to the kohen. How do we know that a father does that? T'chsiv, manal and t'chsiv kol b'char b'nachai tifta. You should be paid your firstborn. If his father didn't get around to it, mechayiv iu lemifrakei. When he grows up, the child, he has to be paid himself. Interestingly enough, we don't mention anything about bezdin by pidyon event as we did by the Mila, and the Farshim explain it's something which involves expense, and we can't really obligate bezdin to do so. So we jump from the father to the fellow himself. If nobody else, he'll take care of himself when he grows up. T'chsiv, the pasuk duplicates it. Padai sifte. So some say it's just, the fact that the Torah repeats Padai sifte indicates that there's a double tier obligation. Either the father does it or he does it himself. Some learn that tifte is like tipada. Padai sipade. And we learn tipade as though it means make sure that you're paid to yourself. Okay? Fine. Now, clearly the father has to do it, but what about the mother? Who says she's not part of this obligation? Chsiv tipade tifte. It says tifte, right? Without a yud. Taf, fei, dalet hey. And the drasha is as though we read it as though it says tipade. What's the difference? Very simple. Tifte means redeem somebody else. So you're the father, and you go and do pidyon on your son. That's tifte. Tipade means lashon nif'al. You are the subject of the redemption. So in the same word, we sort of enwrap both meanings. Pidyon to others, pidyon to oneself. And we come up with the following formula. The two things are related. Kol she mitzuvah liftes atzmai. If one applies, then the other one applies. So a person who's theoretically obligated in tipada, the first part, being the subject of pidyon, then mitzuvah liftes achir. Likewise, if you have a son who's a b'char, you have to go and redeem him. But if there is no mitzvah to redeem yourself when you are a b'char, eine mitzvah liftes achir. So if there's no mitzvah liftes atzma, there's no mitzvah liftes achir. It goes hand in hand, right? So theoretically, if you're a b'char, right, and you're not mitzvah to be paid to yourself, so by extension, you're not mitzvah to be paid to somebody else, i.e., your son who's a b'char. So we're assuming that this exempts the isha. She doesn't have her own obligation, so it doesn't extend to her son. How do we know that? How do we know step one is true? If you who says she doesn't have to redeem herself? Maybe her father doesn't need to redeem her, but maybe she has to redeem herself if she's a firstborn. The pasuk says tifte, and we go the other way now. Tifte, tipade. So now we go the other way. Tifte means somebody is being paid to you, right? Tifte means you're going out and be paid to somebody else, right? So we connect tifte to tipade. Tipade is where you're being paid to yourself. So if first applies, the second applies. If others are mechuyev to be paid to you when you are firstborn, your father has to be paid to you, then mitzvah liftes atzmai. Then if that for some reason didn't happen, so when you grow up, you have to be paid to yourself. So if tifte applies, your father had to be paid to you, then if it didn't happen, you have to be paid to yourself, tipade. But if not, then not. If others are not obligated to do pidyon to you when you're a b'char, ein mitzvah liftes atzmai, so you don't have to do it to yourself if for some reason it didn't happen, right? And how do we know that, in fact, if she's a b'chor, her father doesn't have to redeem her? The pasuk says so. The makra called b'chor, banecha sifta, which means only banecha, your firstborn sons, v'lo b'nesecha, not your daughters. So it's sort of a 1, 2, 3 chain. Pasuk that we just read tells us a father is paid to his son, not his daughter. Okay, so now we have the isha here. She's not going to be the subject of her father's pidyon. It's been established. Likewise, she doesn't have to be paid to herself. Tifta tipadet. Knowing that, we go a step further. We say tipadet tifta. If one does not have the chiyuv to be paid to himself, such as the isha, because her father doesn't have to be paid to her because of the pasuk, right? So if she doesn't have the chiyuv to be paid to herself, tipadet tifta. Nor does she have the chiyuv to extend that to somebody else to be paid to her son. Here you go. Paid to a son is a father's chiyuv, and not the mother's. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a brayz. Who liftois, ubnai liftois. Suppose he only has enough money as 5 slaim. Exact amount for one person. Thing is that we have 2 b'chor. Father is a b'chor who was never redeemed, and his son is a b'chor who needs redemption. Who gets priority? Who goes first? Who liftois, ubnai liftois. Answer is, who koydem ubnai? He takes priority. Chayacha koydem. First, gotta take care of yourself, and then you're chayiv to do your kids as well. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no, it's the opposite. B'nai koydem. First comes the son. You know why? Listen to this. Shezeh mitzvasei al aviv. The father, let's call him Ruvain. Who is supposed to be paid to Ruvain? His father. Right? So the primary chiyuv rests with his father, who neglected his obligation. V'zeh mitzvas b'nai alav. But Ruvain's son Shimon is a bechar, and Shimon's pidyon is incumbent upon Ruvain. So first he has to address his own chiyuv, which ironically entails redeeming his son. And then, and only then, if there's money left over, he can address his own pidyon, which is really his father's chiyuv. Amar B'Yirmiyah. I'll explain the brayz. I'll explain this case. When is there a machlekes, and when isn't there a machlekes? HaKoil Moedin, all agree. Kol heicha delek el chamish slaim. Suppose all he has is 5 coins, enough for one person. That's it. That's all he owns. In this case, as a Yirmiyah, don't think the son goes first. Who koydem l'bnai? Of course, Reuben has to be paid himself first. My time and why? Mitzvah de gufaya. Gufaya difa. A mitzvah, which pertains to himself, to his own guf, rather than his son, that takes priority. Notwithstanding the fact that really his father should have done it, every Yirmiyah takes a different approach to the machlekes. There's only $5, pay to yourself, and then later worry about the son. Everybody agrees. No machlekes. Keep thinking. What then is the machlekes about? A totally different topic here. Totally different circumstance. You have 10, but 5 is readily available. You have 5 slaim right here, and 5 is sitting. You know, it's been purchased. It's sitting by somebody. It's meshubad. It's a piece of property that you've sold, before the child was born. So that property is kind of committed to the father's pidyon, because that chiyuv arrived before he sold the field. But it comes before the son's chiyuv arrived, because the field was sold before the son was born, and his pidyon doesn't affect the sale. It came after the sale. Question is what to do. And that's what we have this machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda Savar milva d'chsiv b'Torah. A Torah mandated obligation, such as pidyon haben, kiksuva b'shtar damya. We treat it as though it was recorded in a document, which basically allows you to extract sold properties which are committed to that loan, to that chiyuv, to that obligation. You'll take back the field from the buyer. Why'd you buy the field? There's a chiyuv of pidyon haben that I have to carry out. And therefore, says Rabbi Yehuda, this is what you meant to do. Bahani chomish, the $5 that you have in your hands, the available funds, parak l'brei, use that for the son. Take care of that. V'azal kain v'taref le'l'chamish mishabadim with the day, and then he does a pidyon haben on himself, and the kain will now go and extract the properties from the buyers because they're meshubed to the father's pidyon. So now everybody's been taken care of. The father is redeemed, and so is the son. Even a Torah mandated obligation such as pidyon haben, lav, it's not treated like a documented loan, in which case you cannot go ahead and extract from buyers and from customers. So whatever you sold is sold, and you cannot get it back. So ultimately, all you have is the 5 sela that's here and available. Question is, what should I apply it to? Myself or my child? Well, one's own personal obligation takes priority, and therefore you do that pidyon first. Okay, on a related note, Tana Rabban, we have another brayso. Livtoi says, B'noi v'lalis l'regel. He has enough funds to finance his son's pidyon haben, and or to finance his trip to Eretz Yisrael. Ali l'regel, mitzvah. Which one should he do? First you redeem the child, and then you go l'regel. Why? We'll see in a minute. Your first priority is to be l'regel. That's what you use the money for. Later on, you find some more to do pidyon haben. Why? Shazu mitzvah iveris. Aliyah l'regel is a passing mitzvah. Time is of essence. You can't wait around. You're going to miss the opportunity. Pidyon haben, as important as it is, but it's not expiring, so do it later. So therefore, Aliyah l'regel takes priority. Now, Bishleim Rabbi Yehuda Kessler matama. So Rabbi Yehuda gave his reason. Perfect. Ela Rabbanan my tamai. Why do Rabbanan say first pidyon and then Aliyah l'regel? The pasuk says, don't show up in this type of state. Kol b'chor b'necha tifta v'hadar, and then it says lo yiro penareikam, indicating to us that look, Hashem wants us to take care of our obligations first do pidyon haben, and then come up and greet me in the Beis Hamikdash. Tana Rabbanan, menayishim hoy lo yichamisha bonim mechamish nashim. Suppose one fellow had 5 bechorim, 5 newborns from his 5 wives. So each one was the firstborn to his wife, but he has 5 of them now. Shechayav lifteis kulam. Pidyon haben applies to all of them. How do we know that? All of your bechorim, even if they're 5, they're all considered newborns to their mother. Well, pshita, obviously, it's mother related. But Peter Rechem, Tel Rachman, Torah clearly relates it to the firstborn of the mother. So what's the point of discussion? Perhaps I would say that there are 2 conditions, 2 preconditions for pidyon haben. Number 1, mother's firstborn, and also father's firstborn. So you can't have 5. Nelef, b'chor menachla. Perhaps we'll compare the b'chor concept over here to the b'chor concept in terms of the double inheritance, which applies to newborn, father's newborn, right? Just like there, it has to be the father's first child. Afkan reishis eine here as well for pidyon haben. You require 2 firsts. First for the mother, first to the father. Kamashmon the Chiddush is no. Kol b'chor b'necha tifta. You can have a situation of 5 firstborns because it's all mother related and not the father. So father does milah, father does pidyon haben, and thirdly he teaches him Torah. L'lamdei Torah menola. How do we know this? The pasuk says, well, we say it every day. You teach your children Torah. If a father did not get around to teaching him Torah, or he was an orphan or whatever, of course he's not exempt. He has to sit down and learn Torah. You know the famous story of the Chavetz Chaim, who actually was a Yosem. His father passed away, and his mother only had so much money, and they were able to hire a Malamed who taught him, I think it was 1 daf Gemara, and then they ran out of money, and the Malamed didn't want to teach him. So what did the Chavetz Chaim do? He says, I'm not going to give up just because I have no father and my mother has no money. I know 1 daf Gemara. Okay, no problem. He learned it over and over and over, I don't know, hundreds of times. He didn't give up until he became the Chavetz Chaim. So how do we know that's true? The Chsiv, we have another pasuk. This is in Devarim Hay. It says, Ulamadatem oisam. First pasuk by Krishma, v'limadtem, teach your children. But here we have ulimadtem, learn, sit and learn. So we know there is a point of teaching the child. Who says it belongs to the father? Who says the mother is not chayav to teach the children Torah? Because the word v'limadtem doesn't have a yud. We put a nakuda to read it like that, v'limadtem, but really it doesn't have the yud. So it's almost like the tifta tipada. You can learn it both ways. It contains both, it encompasses both meanings. We read it v'limadtem, extend your teaching to others, to your children. U'limadtem, learn yourself. And we sort of connect both meanings. And we say they're intertwined with each other. Kol shemitzvah l'lmod, mitzvah l'lamed. If one has a mitzvah to learn, u'limadtem, he has a mitzvah to teach, mitzvah l'lamed. Kol she'ena mitzvah l'lmod, ena mitzvah l'lamed. If you have no mitzvah to learn yourself, then v'limadtem doesn't apply either. You don't have to teach. How do you know that a woman is not mechayiv to learn herself? We go the other way now. We take the word v'limadtem, we start from v'limadtem, and then we switch it to u'limadtem. That u'limadtem, which means personal study, is contingent upon being the recipient of another person's teaching. V'limadtem leads to limadtem. If you are one that others are obligated to teach, then likewise you have to go and study yourself. But if you're a person that others don't have to teach, such as a woman, nobody has to teach you Torah, likewise, she doesn't have to learn herself. And how do we know that others don't need to teach her? The pasuk says, and we learn Dafka's sons, Wed May. So it's basically that 1, 2, 3 chain reaction we had before. If you're meant to be taught by others, then you learn yourself. If you learn yourself, then you go ahead and teach others. Makes perfect sense. You're sort of carrying over the Torah from your teacher to yourself to your student. Continues the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan. We have a similar dilemma as we faced before. There's only enough funds to support one person learning, either him himself, the father, or he can provide the funds for his son, but it won't be sufficient to support him and his learning. Who gets priority? Once again, the Tanakama says he himself, father does. Who? Koidim Lebnoi, he takes priority over his son. Rabbi Yehuda, well, it depends. Who's going to be more successful in learning? If his son seems to be more, diligent and sharp, has a greater ability to retain his Torah knowledge better than his father. He should give the money to his son. Son takes priority. Like they say in English, he'll get more for his money. There was a story involving Rav Yaakov, the son of Rav Acha bar Yaakov. So the son and the grandson and grandfather the same name, Yaakov. So his father, Rav Acha bar Yaakov, sent his son Yaakov, Shadri Yavul Kamid Abaye, sent him to Abaye to learn. He also, when he returned home and he tested him on his Torah knowledge, he sees that he's not really, didn't have a full grasp of his learning. He wasn't so successful as he thought he would be. Amar Alei, so he tells his son, look, if that's the case, I'll go learn and you stay and work. I can do a better job than you did. Tuv at the Izlana. You come back here and I'll go learn. Sham Abaye the Kahava Os. So Abaye heard that he was coming to learn. Havahu Mazik Beirabonon de Abaye. So Abaye apparently had a lot of respect for this man who left his business and went to learn. And there was a certain evil spirit, a mazik, who would threaten the Talmidim in the Beis Medrash of Abaye, Beirabonon de Abaye. He was such a vicious mazik, such a dangerous mazik, that even if 2 individuals would enter the Beis Medrash, 2, even during the daytime, which is typically not a circumstance that invites the mazikim. They're scared off during daytime, especially when confronted by two people. Havu mitzagi, they would incur injury. So he would overpower them, so to speak, and they were threatened. So basically, it was a very, very dangerous situation. And Abaye wanted to rid his Beis Medrash of this perpetrator, this mazik. So he says like this. He came up with a plan. Amar lahu, so he tells the people there, Lo leisiv le inish. Nobody should offer ushpiza, a place to lodge. Meaning, don't invite the guest, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, to your homes. This way, he'll be forced to sleep in the Beis Medrash. Efshar the Mesrachash Nisa, hopefully, he will generate a nest and chase out the mazik. Al, so he came, bus, and he slept over Bahu Bei Rabban in that Beis Medrash for lack of another alternative. Idamale Ketanina the Shiva Shvasa, and he was in fact confronted by this scary mazik who appeared to him like a tanina, like a big snake, the Shiva Shvasa with 7 heads, 7 keiches of tumah. Called Kriya de Kara. So he went to daven quickly to protect himself, and for every bow that he bowed during his tefillah, Nasar Chadreshe, 1 head of the animal fell off. Amar Lahu L'machar, so when he was done, he was saved. Next morning he met the Chachamim, he says, Whoa, Elo Yisrachesh Nisa. You're lucky that I had a nes. Otherwise, Sakintin, you would have really endangered me. Look, you put me into the situation. Good thing I came out on top. Tanur Rabbana, Lil Moed Teirav Lisa Isha. Okay, very prevalent dilemma. Should you stay and learn a bit longer or marry? Which one takes priority? Yil Moed Teira. He should learn as long as he could, and then marry. He feels he's unable to be without an isha, then switch it around, marry, and then sit and learn. The conclusion is isha, first marry, then learn. How can that be? Once he marries, he's obligated to support his family, he's distracted. It's just an expression. Millstones over his shoulder, over his neck, meaning he's bound to support his family, he's distracted. You expect him to focus on learning. How can you say it's this way? It should be the other way. First learn and then marry. Really, there is no machlekes. It depends on the local circumstance. Halon valahu. Rashi explains like this, around 10 lines from the bottom. Halon valahu. One is instructing the local crowd in Bavel. Halahu. The other one was instructing the Bnei Eretz Yisrael. So Rabbi Yehuda lived in Eretz Yisrael, and over there he says you gotta learn first. Why? It says Rashi like this: Bnei Bavel Yehoichan v'Gersin Mishnayis Tanoim Beretz Yisrael. It was the common practice for the Bnei Bavel to travel up to Eretz Yisrael to learn the Mishnayis of the Tanoim in Eretz Yisrael. Since they were engaged in study outside of their communities, they weren't home. Ein tzarich habayis and tell him off. So he's not really involved in keeping the household going, so he's not distracted. So in that case, he should first marry, then spend some time learning himself, then come back home. No, you see, he marries, so he has that satisfaction, so to speak. So he's protected from temptations. And then he takes off and spends time in Eretz Yisrael learning Torah. So first Noise Isha, which addresses that issue, and then he goes to learn for a while in Eretz Yisrael. Halahu, Rabbi Yehuda was speaking about those people in Eretz Yisrael, so they would marry and stay learning in their communities. So in this case, if he marries first, he'll be distracted. He won't be able to properly focus and immerse himself in his Torah. And they'll distract him. So it's all about circumstance and priority. Says the Gemara, Rav Chisda would praise to Rav Huna about Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna was a Talmud of Rav Chisda. He would praise but Rav Hamnuna, the Adam Gadlu. Rav Hamnuna is a big, great man. Amalei, so Rav Huna told Rav Chisda, next time he comes to you, please bring him over. I want to, converse with him. Ki asa. So next time Rav Hamnuna came and he visited Rav Huna, Rav Huna notices the Lepar Sutra. He's not wearing this hat of some sort of scarf on his head, which was common for married men. Apparently he's still single. Amarle, my time, priest sudra. Why aren't you wearing the sudra? Amarle, I'm not married. Adrin la peiminei. So Rav Huna abruptly turned around. Did not want to face Rav Hamnun, his guest. Turned his back to him. Amarle tells him, Chazi, listen, make sure the chazis lulapi. Next time, before you come see me, don't show up ad denasvas until you marry. Very adamant about it. First thing is marriage. Rav Huna Tameh, because he's following his shita, the Amar says like this: Ben esrim shana v'lenasa isha. Once a person hits 20 and he's unmarried, by choice, right? Kol yama ba'avera, he's in a constant state of violation. What do you mean ba'avera sakataita? He's really doing averas. How can you suggest he's doing averas? So he's 20 years old, unmarried. Ela'ema, rather it means like this: he's overly tempted. Kol yama b'hir havera. He's emotionally, mentally involved in things he shouldn't be, and therefore it's important to marry early. Amar Rava, so Rava says like this: V'chein tanad v'rishmoel ad chav shana. Until a person hits 20, Yeshiv HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzapel od Hashem is sort of anticipating. Ma'asa yisa isha, when he's going to marry already. But kiva shegiya chaf, so once he hits 20 and he's unmarried by choice, chooses to stay single, Eimer, he says, tipach atzmoisav, very stern expression, his bones should bloat. Something really not recommended. Amar Rav Chizda, in fact, Haida Difne Mechavroy, Rav Chizda got married early. The reason why I'm superior to my colleagues in Asivna B'Shitza, because I married early at 16. V'yahav and Asivna B'Abresa, in fact, if I would have married even early at 14, I wish I should have. Hava Amina, I would have been even stronger. Spiritually, Hava Amina, I would have the ability to turn to the Yetzirah, L'satan Gira Beinecha, here, arrows through your eyes, meaning I would have confronted the Yetzirah and vanquished him completely, without any fear of him tempting me. Okay, B'ezras Hashem will continue tomorrow. Okay, let's do a quick summary of today's daf. The mitzvahs which a father is meant to do on behalf of a son, which are Bris Milah, Pidin Aben, Liman HaTorah, Asiyah Isha, teach him a trade. Some say teach him how to swim. All these are specific to the father and not to the mother. In contrast to mitzvahs which children do to their parents, on behalf of their parents. For instance, Kibbul Aveim, Moira Aveim, apply to both son and daughter. We have the Psukim, which source all these halachas. We discussed prioritization in terms of Pidin Aben, prioritization in terms of Liman HaTorah. Is it him? Is it a son? Which one goes first? And in terms of establishing the sequence in life, the proper sequence, Torah, marriage, the optimal age of marriage, the earlier the better, and incidentally, another benefit that would solve the shidduch crisis. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.